Identify yourself.
Sure. Alex Hagley, I live in Arlington Heights.
Well, thank you so very much for talking with us today, Alex. All right, and again, we're out in front of the Scientology Church, and a while back, there were restrictions on how close you could come, or at least interpretations on those restrictions. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. The city had an ordinance that said that you can't protest within 150 feet of a church during services, and Scientology, of course, claim to have services basically every minute that they're open, which would force us to be 150 feet back the entire time. And we were getting people would ask us, why are you over here when you protesting Scientology? So I'm a lawyer, so I did some research into it. And there's another code provision that says you can't protest within 150 feet of a school during business hours, and that was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. And I didn't think the two were that different. So I challenged the enforcement by the police officers. I received a citation. I went to the hearing, and the city dropped it without explanation. So then,
and without prejudice, as they say.
They just they non-suited it.
I mean, non-suited, I see.
That means it wasn't even written, basically. Without prejudice would mean they could bring it back, but
I understand.
So I came back out again, and about the same time, the ACLU had written a city a letter asking them about gay protesters in front of a Catholic church, and the city sent them a letter saying, we won't enforce it against you guys on this specific date at this specific time. So I looked at that letter, I said, well, it seems pretty similar to my situation, except for the fact that we do it every month. So I wrote a letter to basically the same people the ACLU had written that letter to, with a copy of the response to the ACLU. And then I think it was like 2 months later, they finally sent me the same exact letter they sent to the ACLU. They sent to me saying the same thing. So I cited the Supreme Court case to them, and apparently that was persuasive to them. So they gave up. Although when we came back, the Scientologists still try to bring up the 150-foot restriction with the police officers who stop here, but we have the letter, and it's been, I think, probably like 2 months now where they don't even bother anymore. So, had they, it's funny, had they not pushed the 8 hours a day or whatever, if they had just restricted it to 2 hours maybe, we would have respected that and planned accordingly. But they wanted to be pigs and wanted to have 10 to 6 and not have to see us. Well, I don't agree with that, so they have to see us now.